Hello and welcome back to the AFL Enjoys podcast. My name is Dean, joined once again by the boys, fellow enjoyers of the AFL, James Matsa, George Sfenda. How are we going, boys?
Good, Dean. Yourself, mate?
I'm doing pretty well. I've got something interesting lined up for today. So what we'll be doing is a ranking of the top defenders, split into tall defenders and your medium/small defenders as per the AFL app. So however they describe the player.
So if they had a defender as a key defender, we put them there. If they were just written as a defender, then they were in the other list.
Then they're in the other list.
Just to make it consistent amongst all lists.
That's it. So we'll do a top 10 of each. And essentially we'll just pick one each, starting from 10, working our way down. So
And it's key that we have decided to do this list as the best since the start of the 2020s.
Oh,
So
yes, of course.
2020, 2021, 2022, and now 2023. That's what the list is based off. So it's not purely this year, but since the start of the 2020s.
I'm very curious to see how we go because when I was making my list, there's a few guys there that only might have played a year or two. Maybe they're rookies, maybe they're older guys. So I guess we'll just find out and see where they land.
It's interesting to see how much weight you put to a specific season.
Yeah.
And it's easy to forget players that were good a couple of years ago that have kind of faded a bit. So
All right. So I think I'm going to start us off. So we're going to kind of just go this way. Reveal our lists position by position.
And we'll do the tools first, right?
And we will be doing the key defenders first. I'm interested to see if you guys have this guy on your list, right? I got at number 10. I have Liam Jones.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
No.
So here's a dude. So there you didn't have you on your list. So it was between him and another guy, right? But I'll explain who it was later. But this dude had 2 elite seasons at Carlton, in my opinion. He's one of the best key defenders in the league. And then also this year, current at Western Bulldogs, before he got injured, he was again at the time they were a top 4 team, and again killing it, their main key defender. So yeah, an elite intercept player, elite one-on-one player for 3 seasons. I thought, yep, I'm putting him on my list.
I completely didn't even think
love
of
it, mate. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, Georgie, you talk him up quite a bit, so I'm surprised. Did he come into your calculations at all? Or?
We'll talk about it soon.
Okay. No?
100% Liam Jones is on this list, mate.
Oh, it's good, man. There we go.
100% is on
Jeez,
this list.
Dino's lacking at it.
The only thing I'm disappointed is that he's not higher.
Oh, well, there you go.
See, I actually said to you guys before the pod, like, I'm sure I've just completely forgotten some guys. And there we go. First pick, I've already haven't even considered him at all.
You've got some time to rearrange some things, mate.
No, I'm sticking by my guys.
I like it.
I'm not going to adjust it.
Who you got?
So in 10th place, I've got Aaliyah.
Ooh.
So I don't know if you guys got him. Maybe.
I do.
Yeah, so a very good defender. He was All-Australian in 2021. So, a key cog to Port Adelaide's kind of defence. And when he kind of made that defensive full-back position his own when he went to Port, and has thrived since he kind of got that opportunity. So put him low on the list, but any All-Australian key back is probably going to feature, and that's where it's at for me.
Nice.
Like it, George. I like it so much that I've got the exact same one.
Hey, there you go.
Good man.
I think, a lot of the reasons you said there, I mean, when he's on his game, teams need to game plan against him.
So athletic as well, right?
Yeah.
So he can match up with any opponent.
And if you just ignore him out there, he'll just change the game. So I won't go on too much more, seeing as though you just explained it pretty well. But yeah, Aaliyah was my number 10. Now, do we do like a reverse style now?
Yeah, why not, man? Why not?
All right. So now I'm actually a bit worried I've got this guy too low, but I guess we'll find out. I've got Jake Lever at 9. I'm not sure where you've probably got him. I'm assuming.
I do think that's pretty low, man.
Okay.
I do think that's quite low.
Maybe it says more about how much I rate the other guys.
Fair enough.
But look, this guy obviously has been recruited to Melbourne for a very specific reason, and he's been nothing but solid ever since. Obviously won the flag. Yeah, it's a bit controversial. I think I'm looking at my list, I'm like, you know what? I like these guys above him, but Lever at 9. I guess it's a credit to him that he's on the list. But I'm very curious to see how different we are on that one.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
So in 9th place, I've got a personal favourite of mine.
Okay.
Sam Taylor.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe not the most recognised key defender, but this guy's a superstar. He's All-Australian last year, 2022. He's going to continue to improve and get better. But he's been a very good defender over the last couple of years. At a team like GWS that doesn't get a lot of attention, he very quickly became a superstar over the last couple of years. So not in 2020, but 2021 and 2022. In my mind, whenever I watch this guy, I'm like, man, this guy's amazing. So he finally got rewarded for All-Australian honours last year, and he's had another good season, or started the season well this year before he got injured. So happy to reward the kid and put him on my list.
Yeah, there we go. So I actually didn't get him on my list, and it was between him and Liam Jones for the 10th spot for me.
Nice.
So in the end, I went with Liam Jones purely because he has played more. Even though he missed an entire season, he has played more games than Sam Taylor. Like Sam Taylor hasn't played this year, and then I think 2020 and 2021 he didn't play many games. So I'm like, you know what? Over the entire body of work, I'm gonna put Liam Jones ahead. But good
Fair
pick
enough.
anyway. Number 9 for me was a player who goes under the radar because his team sucks generally, and it's Jordan Ridley. I've got Ridley as number 9. He's a great intercept defender. He uses it really well. When he's forced to play a job because Essendon, for some reason, you know, they haven't been able to, they haven't had enough key backs in the last few years. When he has been forced to play, you know, a lockdown role, he's been alright at it. So Jordan Ridley makes the list at number 9.
I actually didn't consider him, to be honest. Maybe more just I was focusing a lot on success for my list. So obviously the Bombers have been a bit dodgy the last few years, but I rate him as a player. I think when he's at his best and he's given the right role.
Yeah, he's a best and fairest winner as well. So it's like he's,
and I think he's
recognised.
an All-Australian as well.
I don't think he is an All-Australian.
I think he's an Australian.
He might be, man. I'll have to check. We'll have to check later. But yeah, Jordan really makes the list. The next one was the guy that you guys had at 10, Aaliyah. I put him in there
Even higher.
at 8th. And I think the reason why he went above those last two guys is I'm pretty sure, because he got the All-Australian, very consistent. He's elite with intercepts, you know, and he's a pretty decent one-on-one defender as well. So he goes at 8.
Beautiful. All right, so 8th for me is James Sicily. So I know that insults Matsa a little bit.
It insults me a lot.
But he did miss a full season of footy, so there's a bit of body of work that's minimised a little bit for me. Beautiful player. He's listed as a key defender. And to me, as a specific key defender, I don't think he's as strong as some of the players I've put further. I think he plays a little bit better as that intercept or kind of setting up the play type of player. So if the way that the AFL app has kind of categorized him, to me, in my personal view, affects where he is on this list, personally. Because if I'm looking at him as just a lockdown or a key, I don't think he's just going to give away free kicks and aggravate the team, to be honest. So that is my personal opinion. I know I love seeing Matsa squirm as well. It's beautiful.
This is making me very uncomfortable.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Sicily at 8. That's cooked.
I've got Sicily at 8 from a key defender, but my explanation is more so from the key perspective, which I think Dino kind of understands from the way he's
I think, based on our reactions, I think I'm more leaning towards George's reasoning than what it seems like Mats's is. But I'm not ready to say his name just yet at 8.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's a name. I'm curious to see if you've actually thought of him or excluded him altogether. Dane Rampy.
Oh.
Okay, so he's my number 8.
I like Rampy.
Like I said, I was looking a lot at teams that have been in a grand final, or in his case, he wasn't an All-Australian recently, but he's Sydney's captain. Every time Sydney's a good team, this guy is leading the way from the back. Like he can play tall, he can play small, intercept. Any of their good teams of the past 5 to 10 years, he's there. He's pretty prominent. So Dane Rampy is my number 8, and then number 7 is my Sicily spot. So,
well, I mean, it's not like
go.
he's miles away from mine, mate. Jeez.
no, that's why I agreed with you.
Yeah.
So
There you go. He's miles away from mine. I'll tell you
from
that.
those same reasons. I mean, from here on out, I think is where all my big key defenders that I personally love and could have shuffled them in any order and been happy
Yeah.
is where they start. And Sicily for me just doesn't fit those guys.
Mm.
If he was put into the small defender category, I think he would have been probably my
That's
number
what
1.
I'm saying. I
or
think the
number 2.
AFL app has snubbed us a bit.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, we needed some sort of structure. And really, all these guys on the list so far, I'm really a big fan of. But yeah, Rampy and then Sicily for me, 8 and 7.
All right.
Back on me.
Back on you at number 7.
I really like the Rampy pick. I don't have him in the list, but I have him just outside. So he's an honourable mention. And I have to say Matsa Ridley was also an honourable mention for me as well.
Oh, nice.
7, I've got probably one that you guys might not agree with, but I just said stuff, but I'll throw it in as a fun pick. A bit of a legacy pick, but I've got Dylan Grimes in there. So All-Australian 2020.
Rate it.
It is a little bit towards, like his prime was probably 18 to 20, but and he's also had injuries as well. But when he's on the park, he's a gun defender.
No, I think he's a must-have in the
Yeah.
top 10.
Okay.
Honestly,
Yep.
I don't think that's a wild pick at all.
Okay,
He's a
good.
must-have.
Well, yeah,
In my eyes.
I've got him in there. He's not as high because he is obviously towards the end of his career now, and past his prime, but still All-Australian in 2020. He's Mr. Consistent, and pretty much anyone he matches up on when he's on the park loses. And he's a tall defender that can play on the smalls. Like I think he's played on people like Charlie Cameron and affected them. So versatile in that perspective as well, and obviously key to their premiership success when the Tigers had it. So that's Dylan Grimes.
I like that one
Rate
a
it.
lot. I like it a lot. So my next one, and this is where I might disappoint Georgie, is number 7 is where I have Jacob Wiedering.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
And the thing is with Wiedering, he's a fantastic defender. He's pretty in 2020 and 2021, he was really good one-on-one. And the last 2 years, he hasn't been good one-on-one. So 2023 and 2022, he hasn't quite been there. He's been losing a lot of goals, a lot of marking contests. So that's why he kind of lowers down on the list. But in saying that, he's still a very good intercept defender, and he's also his score launches was elite for most of the years from 2020 onwards. I don't really know what a score launch is, but it sounds kind of cool. So
It's elite though.
it is. He's elite though. It comes up as blue on the AFL app, so we'll give him that. So yeah, Waders is there, and then to match Georgie, Dylan Grimes goes above him in my eyes. And I don't think it's really a legacy pick because he's still been. Maybe this year and last year he might have dropped down a bit, but he was a best and fairest in 2021. All Australian, I think once
2020.
In 2020, yeah, no, he's a gun man. He's a stalwart of the Richmond defense, and it's such a successful team as well. So
Yeah, well,
you've got to, got to give the flowers to Dylan Grimes, even though I'd never usually would. But here's my chance to give him his flowers. So that is my number 6.
I like it.
All right. My number 6 is my boy Liam Jones.
Hey.
Oh,
So I've
nice
got him
and high.
6.
I
Now,
like it.
You said a lot of good things about Liam Jones at 10. The fact that he's a really great one-on-one defender. He transformed his career, as we know, from a forward into a backman. But the first game he played for Carlton in the backline, he was a superstar straight away. It was hard for commentators and the AFL media and people to actually get behind the fact that this guy was clearly one of the best defenders in the game instantly. But as a Carlton supporter watching him, that's just what it was. He just was not a forward. His reading of the ball was always good. His athleticism is always good. But Liam Jones as a one-on-one defender, there was a statistic, I think, in 2021, because 2022 didn't play. He had, out of like 100 one-on-one contests, he had lost one contest. Like, this guy is a freak, and he's never... I think him coming back to Western Bulldogs and him getting injured now, the Western Bulldogs have shown, oh, well, look, this is a big loss, and the media's starting to talk about it. But he's not a player that will ever really get recognition as a gun. He's not All-Australian. He's been in the squad, I think, once or twice. But as a one-on-one defender, we probably haven't seen a better one in a long time. This guy is a freak. So I've put him high, and I think he's underrated.
I think well justified there, Georgie, to have him that high. To be honest with you,
yeah.
like seriously, I'm thinking, geez, I wish I had him a bit higher now.
I'm wishing I had him on my list.
Look what he's done this year. I mean, we had him as a super coach pick, and he didn't necessarily start, but that's not what his job is. His job is to stop and to intercept and read the play, and he does that as good as anyone on this list, in my opinion.
It'll be interesting to see how the Dogs go now, because we're recording this at about the end of the bye round. So apparently he's out for a number of weeks. Let's see if they can hold the top 8 spot without such a crucial cog in their team. Okay, so where am I up to? Number 6 is actually where I've got Wiedering. I'm not sure if that's where you had him as well, Matsa. You had him 6 or 7?
I had him 7th.
7th, yeah. I've had him at 6. I mean, I won't talk about him too much more, but if I'm starting a defence and I need a key back, he'd be on the short list of guys that you'd love to have, right? Can body up any of the key forwards in the league, and so long as Carlton defends well as a team, he doesn't get beat, really. So yeah, I won't go on too much more. But number 5, this is where I've got Jeremy McGovern at 5. Okay, now I don't know about you guys, but this guy here, when the Eagles were good, and obviously let's write off last year and this year, but a couple of years ago when the Eagles weren't such a basket case, this guy is just unplayable, man. Like, he just intercepts everything. He's not as much of a lockdown defender as I think the guys above him are. But even so, like, you think of the success the Eagles have had in the previous years, and this guy's just crucial to it. He's one of the best at what he does.
See, interesting with Gov. I don't have him on my list.
Neither do
Interesting.
I.
And you know what the thing is? It's because I feel like he hasn't played like at all the last 3 years. But I appreciate that you had him on because I was looking at him and I'm like, man, Gov deserves to be there, but he hasn't played enough. But yeah.
He
Like I
deserves
said-
to be. I would agree with Matsa. He deserves to be on a list of great key defenders. I just don't think he fits this one because of the timeline that we're specifically talking about.
I didn't
Yeah.
look too much into how many games he's played. I do know, obviously, he's missed some time. And like I said, this year and last year, the Eagles, I didn't really factor it into it. But for me, if I'm thinking of who are the best defenders of the last couple of years, anytime this guy's on the park, he's one of them, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's
But
fair call.
I can see why you've omitted him. And some of the guys that you've put in there are probably more justified in terms of bulk of work.
Yeah.
But he's my boy, Gov.
Gov, was that 5?
That's 5 for me, Matza.
There you go.
All right. So in 5th place, I've got Wiedering.
There we go. Well, I guess
So-
it's not that much further than
It's not that
myself.
much further.
Yeah.
Look, I think Wiedering's never been an All-Australian, but in 2020, 2021 and 2022, he's been in the All-Australian squad. And he's been snubbed. I know that I'm a Cullen supporter and, a bit subjective, but I think he deserves to be All-Australian at least once of those times. But he's been amongst it. We know that he's a good one-on-one defender. I think this year has tainted him a little bit because he just hasn't performed to the standard that we know him, like a lot of Carlton.
And that's probably because the midfield probably hasn't been winning as much ball.
That's right.
He cops it. He cops the ball into his defense a lot quicker, and it's hard to defend that. So.
And I mean, he's had some personal reasons as well. I don't know how much that affects his performance.
Oh yeah, you got scammed.
But-
Some money, yeah.
Yeah. But even you said last year that he wasn't as strong and he was better in the early years. I'd probably say that I disagree with that. I think even in 2022 he was super, super good. And especially in the first 10 weeks, he was just so on top of his opponents that I don't think he lost the contest. So
Maybe I was looking at the stats a bit too much. Whereas you watch him week in, week out, and you can probably
yeah, I mean,
he passes the eye test for you for
yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
I think Wiedering, he's a number 1 draft pick, and over the last 3 years, he's given us everything that we'd want from a key defender. That's a number 1 pick, and this year hasn't been to the standard that we'd expect, but that's the same for, you could say that for pretty much most Carlton players. And you'd back in Wiedering to, over the last couple of weeks, he's been a little bit better, but you back him in for the years to come to be the key back and general of the defense for the Blues going forward. So
cool. So 5 for me was Jakey Lever. So he's a lot higher than on Dino's list, but I think with Jake Lever, factoring in success, also elite intercept player. This is a perennial top 4 team, and he helps marshal that defense so well. I had to have him quite high up on my list. Like it was a no brainer for me. So he's at 5. Number 4 is Harris Andrews, and he's a big boy down there, man. He clunks some marks. He can. What can't he do, man? Like he's he's all Australian. He's I think he's been up there for their best and fairest as well. But Harrison Andrews makes his spot at number 4.
Love it.
I've got Lever at 4 as well.
Okay, cool.
So look, as you said, I mean Melbourne, a premiership team. Him and his teammate, who I'm sure we'll all talk about soon, are keys to the defense and to such a strong defensive system. And he's been a great player for a long time. I think it's relatively self-explanatory, Lever, in my mind.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so at 4, I've got Darcy Moore.
Okay.
Okay, so this guy, I mean, he's really taken a step forward this year, right? And even last year when Collingwood turned their form around pretty drastically. He's been superb. I mean, probably one of the smartest defenders in the league, I would say, in terms of intercept and when to play off his man, when to stay on his man. Can play as they'd intercept, can play lockdown as well, even on like smaller players. I just think he's almost a perfect defender. And if Collingwood goes on to win the premiership this year, you best bet he'll be a pretty big reason why, I think. And then at 3, this is where I've got Dylan Grimes.
Oh, there you
Ooh,
go.
nice.
I like it, Deano.
I've gone high on Grimes, man.
I like it, man. I
He's
like
one
him
of
a lot.
these guys where you look at him and you think, why is he so good? And is he actually that good? And then you watch him and he locks down your key forward and you think, okay, yep, I get it now. I just think he's got great closing speed, really smart. He plays like the nuances of defense really well. Like he'll put a body on you at the right time, intercept, when you think he's no chance of getting it. He must have a pretty long wingspan or something, but I don't know, man. This guy here, when Richmond was dominant, he was an absolute force back there. And I just think, considering, obviously, Richmond has taken a bit of a dip in form in the last year or two, but in 2020, when they won the flag, he was the guy. So, yeah, I don't know. Considering where you guys had him, I think for me, top 3, I just thought, you know what? I'm going to go for it. That's going to be my pick that I'm just going to stand by. So,
I like it then.
Dill Grimes at 3 for me.
Shout out to Grimy.
Grimy.
All right, so closing into the top now. With number 3, I've got Darcy Moore. So, look, I think especially this year, he's been exceptional. But, he's been an All-Australian already. He's been, I think, in the squad as well. He's the captain of Collingwood. He sets up their plays. He's very athletic, and he's got a very penetrating kick as well for like a key defender. He takes the kick in and then he'll do a 50-meter bomb and set up Collingwood's plays like that, similar to what like a Sisley can do as well. So I think Darcy Moore is an exceptional player. I think he's, as you said, a complete defender, and he's been good for many years. He's not just he's probably at the peak of his powers now, but he's been good for many years and been Collingwood's main man. And I think he's clearly one of the best defenders in the game.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So here's my number 3. Speaking of penetrating kick, setting up a team from the defense.
I wonder who.
Jimmy Sissels is at number 3 for
All
me.
right, number 3.
And the reason for that, he has only played 2.5 seasons of the last, since 20. He played 2020 for 14 games. He missed 2021, but 2022, ridiculous season. Should have been All-Australian.
Yep.
2023 so far this year, he's been suspended twice, but he's been a freak when he plays. He's my guy. He's a dude who can, if needed, he can play as a key defender, but his best role is as an intercepting beast, chopping up, attacking players and then setting them up the other way.
Which we agree with, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
of course, yeah. But see, I didn't really take too much into account the idea that the key defender list. I just thought he's put in as a key. I'm going to rank these guys regardless of,
Completely
if he's
fair.
playing as a key defender or as an intercept defender. He's number 3. He's my guy. Shout out to James Sissels. So now I've got to go number 2, and that's where I've gone Darcy Moore. Darcy Moore, what you guys you've talked about him enough, but I will also say this season, I think he's going to be the All-Australian captain.
Yeah, I think it will be too.
I don't know if this will be released before the All-Australian. It'll probably be released before the All-Australian, but yeah, you heard it here first. All-Australian captain. That's my number 2.
Yeah, I'm with you on the captaincy. I think he's got that in the bag. For number 2, I've got Harris Andrews. So I've rated him very highly. To me, he's kind of just been who you just automatically go as one of the best defenders for a long time and for as long as I can remember. He's All-Australian 2020. He's in the squad in 2022. But really, he's been Brisbane's main guy. And Brisbane have been good for many years. A little bit of an unassuming player. And he is shipped up to Brisbane where they don't get a lot of attention. But I just associate Harris Andrews with key defender and gun. And I think he's been one of the most consistent players over the last couple of years. And so I've just put him right at the top.
See,
Love Harry Andrews.
here's where it gets interesting, Dino. Who's your number 2?
This is my 2 and my number 1, right? So number 2 is Stephen May.
Oh.
Okay,
So
so
who hasn't he said then? We've got to work out who he hasn't said.
Number 1's Harris Andrews then.
we'll get to it.
There must be.
But look, number 2, Steve May, I think we'll all agree. You've probably all got him number 1.
We both have
by
him
the
number
sounds
1
of it. So
by process of elimination.
I would think so.
Does it feel weird?
No, I've got Jake Lloyd, number 1.
Key defender Jake Lloyd.
But look, I guess seeing as that we've all got him 2 or 1, I mean, we can all talk about it together. But this guy here, I mean, another one of those ones during that time where Melbourne went out, they got May, they got Lever. It just transformed their team, and it actually allowed them to win the flag, really. Obviously, talent all over the field for them, but it's not happening without him. I mean, when you say lockdown, this guy is a human meatball back there, but in a good way. You just can't move him. He's an immovable object, really. He's got quick hands as well, decent foot skills.
Yeah, he averages like I think it's like 13 or 14 kicks a game,
Yeah.
something like that. So he's putting it on the boot a lot. He's pushing it forward. Again, he was another one of those guys scoring surges or whatever it was, whatever I said it was.
Matsa loves a scoring surge.
A scoring surge, scoring involvements. He's up there with those numbers because he's taking kick-ins, gun.
Yeah. And especially like with these top two guys, for me, I'm just looking at who's this physical specimen that I would say, yep, that's a key back. Who's going to lock down Tom Hawkins? Who's going to lock down, these other big boys? So I'd back him in above almost everyone. But for me, it's Harry Andrews, man. I love this guy. I mean, you just look at him. He's got the most unique body out of any defender on this list.
Doesn't look like a footballer at all.
No, he's like the longest arms. He looks like a swimmer almost. Like huge arms, broad shoulders, can mark. I mean, we're recording this again in round 15. This guy just had a game and a half against the Saints. So if you're watching this on delay, because we're going to pre-record, obviously, but man, I just really think if I was starting a team like for North Melbourne, if I can pick anyone in the entire league to have in our defence, I'm picking this guy. So that's why I've got him at number one.
Fair enough. Well, I think it's no spoiler. I think we've already spoiled it that May's number one for me.
Yep, same.
All-Australian 3 years running. To me, he's the general. He's the best fullback in the game. He made Jake Lever a better player. I think Jake Lever went him up in 1 year before May, didn't he?
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, but regardless, yeah.
I don't think Lever was the player he was until May came in. He clearly directs the team, and any time that May's pretty consistent, he plays most games, but any time that he's missing, it's so obvious Melbourne plays so much worse. So he sets up everything. He's 3 years in running the fullback in the All-Australian team. He's the GOAT, bro.
Yeah, and another thing with him, so again, May number one for me. He's been second and third in their best and fairest in the last 3 years,
that as well.
which is pretty much winning it considering they've got Clary and Petrarca and Gawn.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like in another team, he's winning 2 best and fairest in the last 3 years, and that means he has to be very, very much up there on the list, and that's why he's number one. But yeah, I think those were really good lists, boys. I don't think anyone really missed anything too crazy.
I was a bit worried that some of my picks would get some like, oh my God, no way.
No.
As in a bad way, but
No.
I think we didn't offend each other too much.
Yeah, no. I think
So you, Dino, missed Jones. So would you say if you had time again, you'd have a look at that? I'm just trying to see whether there's any omissions that we'd...
I think
consider.
Alir was the one. I was like, oh, can I think of anyone else? And honestly, I just didn't think of Jones.
Yeah.
So I probably would swap them two out at least. And then where I'd put Jones, I'm not sure. I'd have to think about it. McGovern, again, you boys made the good point. Like, he hasn't played maybe as many games, and the form of West Coast has been a bit iffy, obviously. But I just went from, like, out of love, really, to be honest. Like, who do I think of that's a key defender? As far as I'm concerned, he's still playing. I'm associating him in my mind with what I know McGovern as, so that's why I placed him where I did. But,
fair enough.
Obviously, if I had more time and research into it, probably would change the order slightly, but I'm pretty happy looking back.
All right.
What about you guys?
Yeah.
Sorry, any quick reflections on your list?
No, I'm pretty happy, to be honest with you. Maybe, if anything, like Jones maybe a bit higher, if anything. I think and Ridley, maybe his spot is a bit iffy, but at the same time,
I actually like the Ridley pick, to be honest.
I think at the same time, he's a gun.
Fair enough,
Good
man.
interceptor, best and fairest. So yeah.
All good. Well, we'll leave it at that for this episode. What we'll do is record a few others. You can probably see where we're going.
We're not going to
with
do
this.
the small defenders. Or have
Separate up.
Yeah, have we gone for too long? Have we? How long has it been?
About half an hour.
Oh, there we go. No, fair enough. I reckon we can leave it for another one. We'll be back on the non-key.
Matsa doesn't want to leave, man.
Nah, man, I love this, man. The rankings is fun.
I think we'll have each to their own. Give each episode their own time to air out each of the different positions. But
I like it.
Thanks everyone for watching. I guess if you disagree with us and you're insulted by our picks, just let us know.
Fight me.
If you agree with me that Dan Rampy should be on the list, just give me some love.
No, we love Rampy.
We love Rampy.
He's the Ramp's a nice guy.
But yeah, comment your lists. I'd be curious to know if we didn't think of anyone. Maybe we did, but all good. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye.